Welcome to the Sleepy Stoic. There's a particular kind of regret that arrives with no outlet. You carry vivid memories of how you treated someone during a formative period of their life, a younger sibling, a roommate, an early employee, someone who needed better from you and didn't receive it. You've changed since then. You've grown, but they've closed every door. No conversation is possible. No apology will be received, and so the guilt sits inside you with nowhere to go, a debt you cannot pay, a wrong you cannot right. This isn't ordinary remorse. Ordinary remorse leads to correction, to repair. This is something else. It's the recognition that some consequences of our past actions are permanent, that some people we've harmed will choose, rightly, to protect themselves by never letting us near them again. And it hurts not only because we caused harm, but because we cannot perform the repair we imagine would relieve us. That last part matters. Because if we're honest, the urge to apologize, especially when someone has made clear they don't want contact, often carries a hidden motive. We want to feel better. We want to be seen as reformed. We want the story to resolve in a way that lets us off the hook. But their boundary, their silence, teaches us something essential. Our growth cannot depend on their witness. Our change cannot require their forgiveness. Marcus Aurelius wrote often about the discipline of focusing only on what is ours to control. In this situation, the distinction becomes painfully clear. Their healing belongs to them. Their choice to maintain distance belongs to them. What belongs to you is only this: who you are now and who you choose to become. The apology you cannot give must transform into the life you now live. This doesn't mean the regret was pointless. It means the regret has done its work. It has shown you something true about who you were and clarified who you don't want to be. The question now is whether you'll let that clarity shape your actions in the relationships still available to you, or whether you'll stay fixated on the one door that's closed. Seneca taught that we cannot undo the past, but we can refuse to compound the error. Demanding forgiveness from someone who has set a boundary, even silently, even in your own mind, is compounding the error. It centers your comfort over their peace. The harder, better path is to let the door remain closed and bring what you've learned into the present. There's a practice worth considering here. Some have called it the downstream apology. You cannot make amends with the person you hurt, but you can notice when a similar dynamic appears in your current life. When you have the chance to be patient with someone younger or more vulnerable or still learning. In those moments, you have the opportunity to be the person you wish you'd been then, not as performance, not to prove anything, simply because it's right. This is how irreversible regret becomes useful. It becomes a permanent teacher. It makes you more careful, more aware, more attuned to the impact of your presence in someone else's formative experience. The guilt doesn't need to dissolve. It can remain as a kind of ethical sensitivity, a reminder to act differently now. Every morning, you might try this. Name one specific way you'll embody today the person you wish you'd been then. Not in relation to them, not imagining their forgiveness, but simply in your actual life with the actual people in front of you. This is the apology that matters now. The one made through changed action, not withheld words. The closed door is, in a strange way, a gift. It removes the fantasy that moral progress is about being seen as good. It forces the progress to be intrinsic. You must become different because it's right, not because someone will acknowledge it. That's a lonelier path, but it's also a truer one. You may carry this regret for a long time. Perhaps you should. Not as self-punishment, but as evidence that you've developed the capacity to see clearly, to recognize harm, to wish you'd done better. That capacity is worth preserving. It makes you safer for the people who are still here. Their boundary stands, your remorse remains, and between those two unchangeable facts, you still have your daily choices. That's where the work lives now. Thanks for listening to the Sleepy Stoic. Take a moment to let this settle. That's enough for now. We'll leave it here.